Okay, good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the class, we are going to discuss about application layer. It is part of Unit 5. Okay, which is part of Unit 5. So application layer. In previous classes, we completed almost all the other layers like data link and physical layer combination we have seen. After that, network layer, we have seen IP protocols, internet protocols, ICMP, IGMP. In transport layer, we have seen TCP along with UDP. Now coming to the application layer, under this we will be discussing some of the important protocols, like we will be seeing DNS first, then we will be seeing SMTP, FTP. Along with that, we have HTTP, SNMP, and so on. So a lot of application protocols are out there. So under application layer, we are going to see the first topic, that is DNS. After that, we will be coming across the different transfer protocols, simple mail transfer protocol, file transfer, hypertext transfers. So you observe here different types of protocols are part of different types of layers here. Okay, let me share PPT. Okay. So this is the topic which we are going to discuss today. That is DNS. DNS. What DNS stands for? Already we discussed this topic in one of the practical sessions in offline classes. That is IP addresses. Okay, IP addresses. How IP addresses will be generated and how IP addresses will be accessed over the network. So that has been discussed. But again, I am giving brief of it. So how DNS works and what are the protocols that will be part of this, okay, and with the with which protocols it takes help. Okay, let us see point by point. One second. One second. Second. Desktop. Yeah. One second. One second. There's a problem in sharing one of the PPT. Wait, wait. It is not getting annotations. This- Okay, are you able to see this PPT?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Not getting annotations. Okay. So this is what we are going to discuss in this class, that is about domain name system. So what does this DNS talks about? How this DNS works? So let us say that you have been connected to, or you are requesting a program. Okay, you are requesting some kind of application that is you want to download. So when you will be connected to particular address, that is server, so how you are going to represent your request, how you are going to locate the system which contains your resource. So let us say here, as part of DNS, a client program that sends a request to the DNS server. What is that? DNS server. As I told you in the previous classes also, it is, if you are something like this, so let us say that this is our server. Let us think that this is a server. So this is our network and this is the network. This is the PC which you want to connect where the resource is available for us. R1. This is our network. This is your PC and your local, what is it? Internet service provider will be there. Who is that? ISP. Along with that, he will be maintaining a DNS server, local DNS server. So when you are requesting for a particular resource, first of all, this PC must be identified. Yes or no? PC must be identified. How? Identified. It can be identified using IP address. So do you know the numeric value of, so in what way you are requesting a resource? Let us say that you want to check google.com. Okay. You are sending a request called as google.com. So you know the name of it, yes or no? You know the name of the resource, that is google.com, and you are sending the request. The server will be processing it and sending you the response. But in between, there is one more thing is happening. That is, you are not actually directly connecting to the server initially, because without knowing the IP address of this particular device, you know the name of the device or the resource where it is located, but without proper IP address, you cannot communicate with it. So how to get the IP address? So the local ISP providers or internet service providers will be having your DNS names, that is name mapping to name mapped to a number. The number is nothing but IP address, or an IP address is mapped to a name. Okay, both. So DNS will make this possibility, that is mapping of the name of a particular host to a number called as IP address or an IP address to a name. So this is the process of DNS or the functionality of the DNS. So this is what it is talking about. So this is, So this is what it is saying, DNS client program that sends a request to a DNS server mapped to an email address corresponding to the IP address. So here email service, that is what requested, because here we are accessing email. So which protocol will be involved in it? SMTP is involved in it. So we are making a request through mail. So how you are going to mail? So you will be mailing if you have a mail address. Okay, if you have a mail address of a particular person, here you observe a user called as a person at wonderful.com. A person at wonderful.com. A wonderful.com is nothing but this is your website address, this is your mail ID. Okay, this is a domain name and this is your mail ID. So a person at the rate wonderful.com is sending a message. Okay, is sending a message because he is using a service called as a mail. So he will be connected to, first of all, DNS within the local ISP. Then it will be going to the DNS center and approaching. After getting into the DNS server contains the IP address of this wonderful.com. Okay, wonderful.com is a domain name which needs an IP address for it so that we can connect to it. So DNS client will get the address of particular DNS like 200.200.200.5. This is our IP address of the resource where it is located or the domain name which we are requesting for. And it will be transferred to the transport layer using TCP. Okay, transport layer, it is transferred to transport layer using TCP IP, with the help of TCP IP. So to identify an entity, TCP IP, so to identify an entity, TCP IP protocol uses an IP address which uniquely defines or uniquely identifies the connection of the host to the internet. So what is done by the TCP IP? TCP IP will be using IP address mechanism to identify particular. This is part of the DNS, only DNS. It is not connected yet to the internet. If it wants to connect to the internet, already connected to internet, but it is gathering of IP address of particular domain here. So what is happening internally? TCP IP, it is transmission control protocol along with internet protocol, which will be identifying the host which are connected to the internet. And the people prefer to use names rather than numerics because it is hard to remember all these names, IP addresses. So if you want to connect to Google server, if I say that 20.20.20.6.5, if I want to connect to some other server, it is hard to remember all the numeric values which are designated by the IP addressing. So instead of that, okay, instead of those numeric values, we will be using some names. They are called as domain names that are assigned to a particular numeric value, which is assigned to a host. Okay, and after that, mapping will be done based on the name to an address or address to a name. Okay. Next. So what is this domain name also says that when internet was small, yes, when internet, or it means if the users, the number of users are small in nature, it means internet was small means number of users are less in number to access internet. So mapping was done by using a host file. Okay, but the host file had only two columns, that is name and address. So every host could store a host file on its disk and update it periodically from a master host file. Try to understand this. When internet was small, this is talking about when internet was small, that is number of users are less in number. So what is happening? A host file is maintained as part of the client system. That is whichever host, either it is client or server, it is maintaining a host file which contains two columns. One of the column is talking about the name of the domain and the IP address regarding that domain. So every host having this file on its disk, and it will be getting updated periodically from a master host file. Okay, and after that, when a program or user wants to map a name to an address, the host consulted, okay, host file and found the mapping. So when a program or user wants to map a name to an address, then that initially the host consulting its host file to find the mapping for the particular name or the address. But this is regarding a small network or small internet. Today, nowadays, is it possible? So it is not possible to make a host file because internet is a collection of networks, different number of IP address. So that daily the internet is going or increasing drastically. So it is impossible to have a single host file or relate every address with a name and vice versa. So, and one more thing, the host file. If nowadays, if we maintain a host file, it will be too large to store every host. In addition, it will be impossible to update all the host files every time when there is a change. So what will be the solution here? So one solution will be store entire host file in a single computer and allow access to this centralized information to every computer that needs mapping. So it will be, you try to understand, because the internet is drastically increasing. So this host file is maintained separately in a single computer so that the users, those who want to map an IP address to a name or a name to an IP address, they will be getting information from this PC, which is maintained centralized to every computer that needs mapping. But this would be great. And one more thing, it will be creating a huge traffic over the internet. So if you maintain the host file in a particular PC, which is centralizedly maintained, the another solution to this is to divide huge number of information into smaller parts and store each part on different computers. So the third solution is, the other solution is, make this huge number of IP addresses and divide them and store into different computers. So what will be this? Storing on different computers. Now next one is namespaces. So what is this namespaces? Namespaces are the names assigned to machines that must be carefully selected from a namespace with a complete control over the encapsulation between or the binding between the names and the IP addresses. Okay, namespaces are nothing but collection of identities. We should select the namespace in such a way that they will be binded together. Name and addresses are binded together properly. So next one is, So namespaces are categorized into two things. They are flat namespaces, hierarchical namespaces. So a namespace that maps each address to a unique name are categorized into two ways, that is flat or hierarchical. So according to the flat namespace, so what is happening in this? A name is assigned to an address. Okay, in flat namespace, a name is assigned to an address, and it is a collection of characters. That is, a name in this namespace is a sequence of characters without a structure. Okay, it does not have any structure. So what do you mean by this? The names may or may not have a common section. If they do, it has no meaning. The main disadvantage of a flat namespace is that it cannot be used in large systems such as internet, because it is centrally controlled to avoid ambiguity and duplications. So what do you mean by this? So whenever you are using a flat namespace technique to divide the IP addresses and that is domain names. So what is happening here is, in this namespace, a name will be assigned to an address, which is a collection of characters, but does not have any proper structure to it. So a name is assigned to a PC, that is IP address has been assigned a name, but it does not have a proper structure, and it will be having a duplications also. The same name can be assigned to other PCs also without any proper structure. If you are trying to assign any number to it, so waste of giving such names. So the alternate is hierarchical namespace. In this namespace, each name is made up of several parts. Okay, it contains, what is it? Each name is made up of several parts. The first part, what is part of hierarchical namespace? That is, the first part can define the nature of the organization. The second part can define the name of the organization. The third part that can define the departments in the organization, and so on. So what is this? A name is assigned to an IP address in such a way that it is divided into several parts, and those parts have, every parts have a definite meaning to it. So the first part will be defining what is the nature of that organization. The second part is discussing about the name of its organization. And the third one is discussing about the departments which are there in the organization, and so on, like this. So the authority to assign and control the namespaces can be decentralized. So it is not controlled centralizedly. Common point is not there. It can be used at a which, that is, it is not centralized in nature. It is distributed in nature. Okay, a central authority can assign the part of the name that defines the nature of the organization and the name of the organization. The responsibility of the rest of the name can be given to the organization itself. So what is happening here? Not everything will be centralized here. According to hierarchical namespace, everything cannot be centralized. Some of the things can be decentralized. So what happens here is, a central authority can assign part, the first part and the second part will be controlled by the central authority, and the remaining parts will be responsible taken by the organization itself. So the organization will keep on adding prefixes to the different types of PCs which are connected to the organization, within the organization. Try to understand here. So let us say that if we have a college, if we call, if in our college there are 200 systems. Let us suppose that there are 200 systems. So there is one system which is controlled by the central authority, and a main connection will be there. Okay, that will be taken care by centrally, and within the and locally, okay, that is assigned centrally, and remaining child connections that will be maintained locally. So that is what we being discussed here in the hierarchical namespace. The management need not to worry that the prefix chosen for a host is taken by the another organization, because even if part of an IP address is the same, the whole address is different. See, try to understand here. If a namespace has been assigned to a particular organization, if the name, what is that? If the prefixes, let us say that every organization is using the departments, like let us say they become in terms of departments, they have an accounts department. Account department will be there for every company. So the management should not be worried about these things, because every organization will have accounts department. Even though they have the common name for it, they will be using accounts dot like that prefixes, but they are centrally divided with different names by nature of the organization, and the name of the organizations are different. Okay, so coming to the domain namespace, actually, so to have a hierarchical namespace, a domain namespace was designed. In this design, names are defined in inverted tree structure. Inverted tree structure with the root at the top. The tree can have only 128 levels, level 0 to level 127. Let us see what are those. So this is how a domain namespace can assign. Okay, a domain namespaces to organizations in a tree structure, okay, which is in hierarchical manner. So we will see what are those labels, domain names and domains, what are different terms which are used here. Each node in a tree has a label, which is a string with a maximum of 63 characters. A label is nothing but every node has a label which is a string with a maximum of 63 characters. The root label is a null string. So root label does not, or a root node does not have a label, or if it has a label, it will be a null. So DNS requires that children of a node have different labels, which guarantees that the uniqueness of the domain namespace. So every child or every node which is part of this root node, okay, so whatever nodes which are below the root node, they are called as child nodes. They will be identified with the different labels, okay, which are unique in nature, and which guarantees a particular or a different domain names for them. So what are domain names? Each node in a tree has a domain name. A full domain name is a sequence of labels separated by dots. Okay, a full domain name is a sequence of labels separated by dots, and also they are always read from node up to the root. Try to understand, node up to the root, from right to left, not left to right. Okay, I will show you the figure, then you can understand. And the last label is the label of the root null. This means that a full domain name always ends with a null label, which means the last character is dot, because the null string is nothing. So this is what we are talking about. Okay, domain names and labels. So these are all labels: edu, fhda, etc, challengers. These are all nodes. This is a root. It does not have any label to it. So this is a root node. Okay, root. and edu dot. So it is a domain name. Okay, and after that fhda dot edu dot. Okay, and after that we have one more node, atc dot fhda dot edu dot. So this is also domain name, the name of domain of this. Okay, the name of this node is this one, domain name. These are all different here. See, I've tried to observe the domain name of edu dot. Okay, the second domain name, node domain name is fhda dot edu. So every domain name is different here. So the last node is challenger dot atc. Okay, atc dot fhda dot edu dot. So we will be reading the contents. So the last one is the root node with the dot, which symbolizes this is the root. This is right to the left. Okay. So next, domain names. So in this domain names, they are classified into two things. Okay, according to domain names, they are classified into two categories. First one is fully, what is this? Properly, right? Fully qualified. Okay, fully qualified domain name. And first one is this one, and second one is partially, sorry, partially qualified domain name. So what are the different types of domain names are available here? Fully qualified and partially qualified. Okay, let us see what is fully qualified. If a label is terminated by a null string, it is called a fully qualified domain name. It is a domain name that contains the full name of the host, and it also contains all labels from the most specific to the most general that uniquely define the name of the host. For example, the domain name called challenger.ate.tbda or whatever it is the fully qualified name of a computer named Challenger installed at the Advanced Technology ATC, the Enzo College. And one more also, DNS server can only match a fully qualified domain name to an address. Note that name must end with a null label, but because null means nothing, the label ends with a dot. Okay, you observe here, we have a dot over here. This one, this part. This is a fully qualified domain name. It should end with a dot. Okay. Next, partially qualified domain name. If a label is not terminated by a null string is represented in the form of a dot. It is called as a partially qualified domain name. A partially qualified domain name starts from a node, but it does not reach the root. Okay, try to understand. A partially qualified domain name starts from a node, but it does not reach the node. How to reach the node? It is reaching by null string. If you place a null string dot at the end of the address, then we can call it as a fully qualified, but here it is a partially qualified. Next point, it says that it is used when the name to be resolved belongs to the same site as the client. So here the resolver can supply the missing part called suffix to create a fully qualified domain name. So what happens here is partially qualified name, domain name does not have a root. It will not reach the root. To reach the root, a resolver will be used so that it can add a suffix to it and make it as a fully qualified domain name. So try to understand here, if a user at the jhda.edu site wants to get an IP address of the challenger computer, okay, he or she can define the partial name, challenger, that's it. Now DNS client adds suffix atc.jhda before passing the address to the DNS server. So see, if a user at a GHDA education site wants to get an IP address of the challenger computer, so he or she can define the partial name, that's it. So DNS client, what it adds, a suffix will be added ATC before passing the address to the DNS server. Next, domain. So a domain is a subtree of domain namespace. A name of the domain is the domain name of a node at the top of the subtree. Note that domain may also itself divided into domains, several other domains also. So this is .com, this is .edu. So inside it, there are several other domains are also there. Okay, a domain itself can create some more subtrees also. That is what it is said about. Okay, in the next class, we are going to see some more topics regarding application layer. Till then, thank you.